Hi, I'm Samantha Rideout, and I am dressed like Cher Horowitz in Clueless for a very important reason today. I want to be in full 90s mode to give you an immersive experience during this session. Marketing Week called the 90s the most fondly remembered decade, and that's exactly what we're about to do. Let's count down 5 amazing marketing insights based on 5 iconic 90s TV shows. And first on this list, let's start by deconstructing how Seinfeld succeeded by being funny, but not too funny. Seinfeld's observational humor is relatable to the audience. It offers situational insights and it doesn't run the risk of more controversial comedy styles like political or edgy humor. And it's not the over the top physical comedy that could alienate your audience or make your brand seem too immature. And if you're a B2B marketer, there's a good chance that you feel like Jerry Seinfeld in this meme, closing the door on comedy. But even B2B messaging is created for a B to H audience. B to H meaning business to human. And all business is human to human. And sometimes I feel like George in this meme crying about corporate jargon. But here are 2 reasons why we should be using humor in our B2B marketing. First, humor can increase memory recall. A 2018 Clutch study found people were more likely to remember and actually enjoy an advertisement if it's funny. Academic researchers studying the effect of humor on mood and memory found whether people were in a neutral mood or even a bad mood, humor resulted in increased memory recall. Other studies have found that this increase in recall applies whether it's verbal content or visual content. So, either way, being a little funny will make a lasting impression. The second reason, humor can encourage persistent behaviors. The possibility of being entertained can keep people coming back to your content, according to researchers from the University of New South Wales. And to validate the acumen of Australians on this point, I will say that Australians have managed to produce the only kids' content that isn't annoying. And all the parents out there know what I'm talking about. Bluey, our favorite cheeky little pup. And another study, non Australian, we're moving on here, found that humorous content receives more attention and is judged to be more convincing. So don't be George in this meme, break out of the corporate jargon, and infuse some humor into your marketing. And maybe you're thinking, that sounds great, but how do I actually do that? Well, here are 2 immediately actionable tips. First, write like you're talking to a person. Read out loud as you write or as you edit, and if you're tripping over run on sentences or it doesn't feel natural, edit it until it sounds like something you would actually say. That's the easiest thing you can start doing right now to make your writing instantly better. The second, tailor your comedy to your audience. Knowing your audience is a consistent theme throughout this entire presentation, and we're going to do a deeper dive when we talk about buyer personas when we get to Beverly Hills 90210, but they come in here too. You need to understand your audience before you can venture into comedy. What's funny to Gen Z probably won't land with Gen X. And EBITDA jokes that are going to crack up accountants will result in crickets for, pretty much anyone else. A/B testing and strategic experiments can come in handy here. Try out a single email or one social post, and that can be an important bellwether for what's going to work in the future. Now, let's cut to something that's been working for decades. Dateline is probably not the first thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about the 90s, but it was there and it outlasted all the other TV shows in this countdown. We have more choices now than ever, but it can feel overwhelming. There was a time when the finite options of live TV programming provided a modest this or that decision. Now You could scroll for hours and not reach the end of your options on any given streaming platform. And don't even try to tally it up across platforms. It's too much. And we're busy. We have a small window of TV time. We don't want to waste it. And if you're about to start a new show, forget about it. You don't know what you're about to watch. But you know what's always the same? Dateline. Do you see the analogy I'm hinting at here? Of course, you're smart. You see where I'm going with this. Let's talk about how Dateline has been using a formula to tell a story that their audience has been tuning into for decades. Dateline shows up so consistently week after week that I dare you to watch it with my Dateline bingo card that I made just for you guys. You can't make it through an episode without seeing Lester Holt in a vest. But marketers, we're a creative bunch, and oftentimes we go into campaigns, we see it as a blank slate, and we try to create something completely different, completely new and original, because we see our brand all day, every day. But no one else is thinking about your brand as much as you're thinking about your brand. And just like you're overwhelmed by all those streaming options, welcome to what it looks like inside your audience's inbox. Your customer or prospect is bombarded with messages from brands, and not just the competitors that you're thinking about. Your solution is one small piece of their overall puzzle. They're seeing, hearing, and experiencing so much that by the time your message cycles through again, they may not even remember you. And if you're lucky, and they do, 90% of potential customers expect to have a similar experience with your brand across all marketing platforms and channels. Now, let me quote a philosopher who was active in the 90s and is still active today. Getting an audience is hard. Sustaining an audience is hard. It demands a consistency of thought, of purpose, and of action over a long period of time. And that philosopher is Bruce Springsteen. But I mean, he's been able to do exactly that. Get an audience and keep it consistently over time, which is the dream for all of us. And that was what Dateline was able to do. And that's what you want to do, because according to Forbes, you can increase your revenue by up to 23% simply by being consistent. So presenting your brand with a uniform message and a uniform brand identity. Imagine 23% increase in revenue just with consistency alone. So why isn't everyone doing it? Well, fewer than 10% of B2B companies say that their branding is very consistent. And think about how fast you change channels if the show doesn't hook you. People average 10 seconds reading brand emails, according to Statista. So if your audience isn't getting exactly what they expect when they open an email, they are gone. Whenever you get the opportunity to capture your audience's attention, ensure that your 10 seconds deliver what they expect, how they expect it, and in a way that resonates as distinctly you. To use a phrase from my Dateline bingo card, do what no one sees coming. Be consistent. Find what works for your audience and stick with it, like Lester Holt sticks with his signature vest. Now, there's no graceful way for me to segue from number 4 on this list to number 3. How do you go from Dateline to 90210? We're going to talk about personalization. So maybe the bridge here is the creepiness. Because we've all had that moment, haven't we? Where a targeted ad hits a little too close to home. And I'm not talking about a retargeting ad for something that you left in your cart. No, that's not even creepy. I'm talking about an ad for something that you want that you haven't even Googled yet. How did they know that I want this? And of course, we all know in this room that Companies can target ads right down to the zip code. But is that what personalization means? Is that what our goal is? Now, I loved Beverly Hills 90210. Luke Perry in 1992 is about as dreamy as it gets. And if you're Team Brandon, we can argue about it. I'm up for the debate. But my point on this slide isn't about 90s heartthrobs. It's about the fact that I loved this show, even though the geography of my zip code could not have been more different. I actually didn't even have a zip code. I grew up in Canada, so I had a postal code. And in the Venn diagram of Los Angeles and my tiny little town in Newfoundland, there's not a lot that overlaps. We both breathe air, and that's about it. But that is exactly my point for number 3 on this countdown. We're going to unpack the appeal of Beverly Hills 90210 and how personalization and targeting must consider where your buyer wants to be, not where they are. It's not just about geography, it's about motivation. And what motivates your buyer? SEMrush covered a case study about the power of personas. Net Prospects reported its target persona creation efforts doubled the number of page views per visit, had a 46% increase in website conversions from those visitors, 111% increase in their email open rate, and 171% spike in marketing ROI. Imagine 171% increase in marketing generated revenue. And all because of the power of persona-driven marketing. Getting into what motivates your buyer is more effective than targeting by zip code. And look no further than the fact that this show had appeal extending so much further than its signature zip code. And I would say it's a short leap from Beverly High to the larger than life footprint of influencer marketing, which is expected to reach over 20 billion this year. And if we take a trip back in time, not as far back as the 90s, but if we go back to 2016, the influencer marketing market was 1.7 billion. 1.7 to 20. Quite a leap. And it's expected to jump another 29% year over year. So the concept here behind influencer marketing strategy is the same that had us invested in the drama of Beverly High. We see an exaggerated reality, and the slick product placement makes us think maybe, just maybe, if we had Steve Sanders' Corvette or the Dyson Airwrap that every Instagram influencer is promoting, we could participate in this idealized reality. What idealized reality would delight your buyer? Don't think about where they are, but where they want to go and how you can become part of that journey. Personalization isn't based in reality, but in fantasy. And no one incorporates fantasy into realistic situations quite like number 2 on this countdown. Now, before we talk about this, I have to make a confession. This is all about magic, but I do not love magic tricks. Pick a card, any card. I mean, even if, best case scenario, the magician can produce my card again, what does that do for me? And you hear similar rhetoric sometimes, maybe from your product department. This new feature, it's like magic. But even if it is magic, unless it's situated in a relatable example, it's meaningless to your audience. And this is where Sabrina the Teenage Witch really understood what would land with her teenage viewers. She was so deeply normal, and she was incredibly relatable despite her magic. You could see yourself in her situations and wish that you could zap through outfits until you found the perfect one without having a pile of clothes to clean up. It spoke to a shared experience in a way that brands need to replicate. The takeaway here with number 2 on this list is to demonstrate a deep understanding of your audience with examples of relatable pain points that you magically solve, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And you need to come up with those examples and put them out into the world before your buyer is thinking about making a decision. Maybe they don't even realize that there's an easier way to get through that pain point. You can, and in fact must, show your value before they're reaching out to vendors. By then, it's almost too late. According to Forrester, 70 to 90% of the buyer journey is complete before they reach out to a vendor. And for the content marketers in the room, this is your time to shine. Before anyone makes a decision, they're engaging with 11.4 pieces of content, also a Forrester stat. So incorporating practical use cases or examples of your magic in action, that's a quintessential part of content marketing and moving leads through the marketing funnel. And the last step in the marketing funnel is the coveted, but often feared, demo. Dun, dun, dun. Now, the dream is to get to do a demo for your prospect. And the other part of that dream is to make it unforgettable. Have packaging that will wow your audience, the same way millennials were blown away by Cher's iconic closet in Clueless. And this is demand 2023, but the moment captured in this GIF is from 1995, almost 30 years ago. And yet, when I bought this Dolce & Gabbana replica in all caps, there were pages and pages of options on Amazon. That is a lasting impression. And we first saw it here. The technology, it was pretty basic, but it worked, the first goal of any demo. It solves a problem, and sure, it's a champagne problem. Do you need a motorized closet and touchscreen? No. But do we need heaters in our car seats, backup cameras, satellite radio? Not every pain point solved in a demo has to be critical. It just has to make the buyer feel like they're the hero of the story. And a hallmark of every successful demo is that the prospect leaves thinking something I need or want to do is easier because of this product. I am at the center of how the product is positioned in this demo. It's all about me as the buyer. I get to my desired outcome faster, more affordably, with better quality or better style, in this case, at the top of our countdown. And if you take away only one thing from this session, it is to understand your buyer and make all your marketing about what they want. If you can do that consistently, you're ready to graduate from Bronson Alcott High School or the Demand 2023 Doers track. So I appreciate you coming with me on this journey. We are Y2K ready, and I look forward to connecting with all of you. I hope that you're able to put these best marketing ideas from the 90s into practice. Thank you.